stopped you from getting reparations that are black, which you're black. You know what I mean? So the bigger context is what's your nationality? Who you rolling with? All right, you know what I mean? Who's got the same political ideals as you, and then how can you quantify that in a way to benefit you and your people?
I would like to bring up a point, and it's an unpopular opinion, of course. I feel like if you are not an African American and not African and moved to America, born in America as a brown-skinned, melanated individual, if you are not that, you are not allowed to say the N-word. I don't care if our skin colors and melanin match.
I respect that, guy. I respect that. Yeah. That N-word has a long history, bro. We talking about nigger, negus, naga. You know what I mean? That term's been used throughout history. Well before colonization, white people had the term. White people were given the term nigger. You know what I mean? Or nigger at one point in time when the Irish came to the Americas, white folks calling them niggers. You know what I mean? Not because they were black, it's because it's interesting. I feel that. I feel that. That term is a very long history. Absolutely. I'm what you got.
So, how do we get... So, hey, Kojo, by the way, and Derek, Big Bro, Ashley, how you doing tonight?
Peace, pieces.
Peace. So, yeah, I just wanted to first say that I had a really amazing time at the event, and I just wanted to say that to you guys on here that, it was really life-changing for myself. I think Ashley even said that she enjoyed herself as well, but... I just wanted to say that, and I'm looking forward to the next event. But I did want to, just pose this conversation to hopefully get folks' mind working in the right direction. But maybe you can talk about a little bit about ARNA, or we can just, have a conversation however you want to work it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I'm sure Mr. Kojo feels the same. If y'all don't know what she's talking about, we held a Aboriginal, Indigenous, or if you want to say a Black Indian event for people who have claimed their indigenous nationality and for people who were just, quote unquote Black, Black with the quotes, you know what I mean, who was interested in coming through in Dallas, Texas, you know what I mean, and Krishana pulled up and she vibed with one of our greatest indigenous, metaphysical doctors, one of our greatest, psychologists that we have in our tribe right now, and it was really fun. So I really appreciate you pulling up, man. Appreciate those kind words. Yeah, we like everybody to to be unified like that, man. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what Minister Kojo feels about it, but yeah, I know he feels the same. But in general, we really appreciate that, sis.
It was definitely life-changing for me. The unity was felt in the energy, more so even just being in the same room, but more or less in the energy and the alignment. So I could feel that. I've been in several Black spaces, and, I definitely felt the unity in this particular space more so than others. So that just shows to, the energy of the people. So that was nice.
Absolutely. Like Minister Ken was saying, really do appreciate those words of gratitude. The big thing that kind of ties all that together is the moral code and just the constitution that we align with, and we're also eating well. We're also just, everything is vibrant. So that's kind of how we just do things in accordance to natural law, right? So definitely just appreciate those kind words, though.
Hey, Derek. Welcome to the conversation. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. Just listening on you guys and trying to articulate what's going on and see where it's going to go.
Okay, cool. So let's spark the conversation, Ken. Black. That's been a lot of talk actually right now on this app. And along with other things, just people wanting to really tap into their true identity of who they are. I'm noticing folks are just really on the searching path, and everyone has the answer. So I always say, well, look, none of us was there. So we don't really know, but I noticed that there's definitely the search that folks are looking to. So how do you tap into self? What are some of the tips and tricks that you use to really tap into your core person?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. That's a good question. Essentially, we're in this dynamic. We're dealing with white supremacy left and right. We're dealing with dysfunctional relationship issues. We're dealing with the craziness that we've been placed in North America, and we don't know why why we're dealing with this. We're just kind of used to it at this point. We're just kind of used to being mistreated, and our relationships being more dysfunctional than everybody else's. Mexicans, Asians, all these things. It's difficult, right? It's problematic. So we don't know why we're in this situation. We're dealing with the solutions now, right? You know what I mean? This is what our tribal government is working to deal with, right? So kind of this is like to hunker back on what I was talking about a second ago. You've got the Asian hate thing kind of dissipated, right? That was a tactic that looked like it's just kind of lost steam. But they got plenty more. They got plenty of more falling through. And what's the next one, right? It was $50 to get your vaccination. You know what I mean?
They're giving out all these free vaccines, and right. And I was just realizing how many people have it. Like so many people I meet. Like some people on the phone, I'm like, oh, what are you doing? You got, oh yeah, I'm headed to get my second one, and it's just like everyone is getting it. So
right.
I'm just like, wow, this is really scary.
Yeah, no, and
why do you think it's scary though? Why do you think it's scary?
Great question.
No, I was just gonna say I think it's scary because it's like, why are people so rushing to get some foreign object put in them when they went all these 2 years without even getting COVID? So it's like, what makes you think that getting a shot after you've sustained, most of these people haven't even came in contact or haven't gotten COVID, and they're just rushing to get the shot just because the news says it. So to me, that's scary.
So, just from my own personal thought process, right? When you basically call a group of people to the point where you've got them to do the things that you want them to do, it's very easy to get them to the end result. And this game that we're playing, and it is a game, has started a long time ago. Where we are now has started a long time ago. We've been moved in this direction for a long time. And so people are basically now ready for plucking. Just like when you grow chickens, you grow them for a specific purpose, and then when you're ready, you pluck them. So what we're looking at now is it's no longer about the virus. It's more about the fear of the virus, and that has been something that's been pushed on the agenda for a long time. So there is a virus. There's no doubt about it. The question is, what was the purpose in the first place? I think I heard Mercedes was talking a little bit about the whole point of being black. I understand from a long time ago that black is a shade, and it's used as a term to sort of like identify a group of people, just like white has been used to identify a group of people back in the 1800s. It wasn't even used for that purpose. It was just used to create segregation between a group of people from another group of people. This game we're playing is a long time game, and it's now a game where we are now caught in it, and we're now being told that we are a group of people that are more susceptible to everything that's going on. The reality is we were being pushed in this position for a long time. Think of it for a minute. A lot of the black people who are currently living in the Western Hemisphere, a lot of them are forced into projects area low-income housing. The jobs that they have, a lot of them can't really have proper benefits and medical coverage. So these things push them into places where they are not able to sustain good health in their system. They're not able to have proper medical coverage. They're not able to take care of the necessary things to make sure that they're going to be okay if a problem comes along. Now, this virus comes along. What's the first thing it does? It decimates black people. Why? Because we're the one who's always been not eating properly, don't get the proper nourishment. We've been redlined for God knows long. So this whole process that we're going through right now was already determined some 50 years ago. We're just living the reality of what was already planned for us. If you get my point.
Yeah.
This is no accident.
Yeah, and you touched on a lot of good points, but something that I just kind of want to make sure that we're kind of clear on is that the so-called Negro, the colored African Americans, however you want to label our people, that is a political term that has been, how can I say, been collateralized since the 1400s, right? And we as a
100%.
and we as a people have been made as collateral objects, and it's shown through the documents and instruments that we use, and just even the history that's been laid out for us. So that's one thing, and the thing that has gone to the next level is that template that because we were the templates, has now expanded to everybody that's on this landmass, and even worldwide, from what it seems like. The indigenous people on all the different land masses are suffering the same issue. And so that I just want to make sure that I address that portion. And the other portion that I wanted to address is that though that we're going through this situation of white supremacy, and it's not a particular person, it's actually systematic, right? So white supremacy is a systematic thing that has been laid out very strategically to basically keep a group of people that were used as templates and now has spread throughout. Everybody's considered as a human collateral. Collateral. So the thing that we have to address is our political status, and our political standing is one thing, but the main root of it all, when you're talking about redlining and eating well and health and things of that nature, is we don't necessarily have a structural family unit that follows in accordance to natural law, that our original ancestors, indigenous people, have lived in the past and have followed that. We're in situations where broken homes are running rampant, and that's by design, right? This is that whole setup is Eurocentric. That's not something we've done. We've never just applauded single mothers or single fathers or single households. That's never been our thing. We've never done that. That's a Eurocentric thing. And people have accepted this template that has been given to them. And so what I'm trying to say at the end of the day is that we need to make sure that we have codes, moral codes that we live by. We need to make sure that we have institutions that are in place. All these things, to kind of tie it in a knot, is things that ARNA is not only has not is the thing that ARNA is doing currently. It's not something that they're wishing or wanting. This is something they already done and are doing, and has shared the template of how the so-called Negro and their families can actually get back in good standing and actually have claim over their lives and move forward in the right direction, despite the bullshit that's actually taking place. Stuff is going to happen, but that's why it takes families that are actually in trust, that trust each other, are living in the same code structure and are following that same script, if that makes sense. You don't need everybody. You just need people who actually will stick to a code, follow it, and stick to the script, and build trust with each other and build institutions, form these things, because we have all these things, like, for example, the vaccines. Members of ARNA In the tribe, we don't deal with it. We're exempt from that. We have documents. We have our own Aboriginal Medical Association that has already come up with the remedy and has designed that remedy. So we don't even deal with this. So if they're forcing the vaccine, we listen. This is a violation of our as a natural human being, things of that nature. It doesn't, and it's not in accordance to what we practice within the tribe. And this is a legal working document. This is what we use. So that's why I said, as a unit, it takes more than just being an individual or a group of people that want to actually move to, make change. It actually, you need, for lack of a better term, you need government that's actually going to provide the protections and the rights for yourself and your families, because that is the issue at hand. If you're living on the landmass of North America, and this is what I'm talking about, you're going to need to be in good standing. You need to claim your status. You need to have a nationality, because as of right now, as far as I checked, being a Negro was listed on the census whenever Obama was in office, and that is not a nationality. Um, and the big thing that people need to understand is that we would never be respected from the other races until we establish something so much as powerful as a powerful nationality. Um, a lot of people look at it as like we're confused because we're just cloning or mimicking Eurocentric or Asian centric or whatever centric behavior instead of our own. And so we will never get that respect. And that's the thing. So people can choose to be that way and stay doing what these Eurocentric people who have came to the North America continent, because best believe we were already here already. They're the actual visitors or aliens that had came to this land. So there's a lot of things that go into this effect. But like I said, I mean, the things that you're missing, the things that I think people overlook when they talk about being black and things of that nature, which is a crayon color. Just don't get hung up on linguistics. You need a nationality. And to sum it up, meaning of nationality is being part of a nation. A nation has its people, which is just sanguineous, and has land, historical land, which we have historical land, and we have land currently, just solely. Has a flag, has a constitution, and it has institutions. So anyway, I'll open the floor again.
So I want to make a quick point before we go forward. I hear a lot of what Kojo is saying. Here's my thinking, though. I think it's even beyond the European thing. I think this whole process that we're dealing with right now started from back in the days of slavery, when they broke our whole family structure down to individualism, and that became a generational problem. These issues that we're faced with right now, a lot of these issues came out of what has happened to our ancestors throughout slavery and has been perpetuated throughout our lives. Until we break these situational ancestral issues that has been lauded on us, some of the same things that you're saying here in terms of having having government and all of that stuff, we have to first unlearn ourselves from some of the stuff that we've been so indoctrinated over time, consistently. We talk about the 400 years of slavery, but we have not yet unlearned some of the stuff that has happened to us back then, which is still now happening to us to this very day. So I understand some of the stuff you're saying, and I get what you're saying. However, we also have to be more aware of the fact that what we're dealing with right now is institutionalized in us from way back when. So for some of the things that I understand in terms of what I'm learning through my own life is that here we are, one of the most powerful race on earth, and we've been marginalized to almost the point where we don't even like each other. So until we can gain back that strength and put that strength forward, we're still going to have these conversations for many more years to come. The thing, one quick point. The thing that I find interesting is that we depend on others to try to save us. We depend on. I even look at the political system that we have in the States. We depend on one group to save us. Whoever we put into power, we think they're going to help us. They're not going to help us because they have us exactly where they want us. And if we stay there, they're going to continue using us for whatever means they use for, just like when they use the blacks to get to power in this democratic election. At the end of the day, until we start changing the narrative, until we start unlearning the things that they've lauded on us, until we start creating change within our ranks and making those changes felt all the way up to where the legislation and legislative codes are being written. We're not going to make those changes. We have to be in those places to make those changes. We have to make sure we put ourselves in position to make those changes because we're expecting others to make the change for us. But we have to put ourselves in those places so that we are pushing our agenda. And the last point I'm going to make, Biden, when he got into power, signed two orders. One was for the LGBT, right? And the other one was for the Asian folks who got marginalized last year. So think about this. In 1 year, they've got all this hate crime against them. What happened? As soon as he goes into power, he puts out a bill for them. We have over 200 bills in Congress looking to get signed to protect Black lives. Not one of those bills have been signed. We've given Biden the power to become president when he got Georgia. Atlanta gave him that power. You think they would have signed a decree to save Black lives? No, they're not, and they won't. The fact of the matter is this. What we have to recognize is this. We are a tool. We're a commodity. We have always been a commodity. And how do I know this? When slavery was abolished, okay, the British went to the government and asked them for reparation for losing their assets. We were the assets. That was in the tune of £20 million. They didn't have £20 million in the coffers, so they come up with a plan to pay them in installment. And these folks, their descendants, then start collecting money. That last payment was in 2015. The irony behind it is that a lot of Black people who were living in the UK that came in as part of the Windrush generation continued paying into that tax process that end up giving back reparation to these folks who lost their assets. So technically speaking, we, the descendants of slaves, were paying taxes to the people who actually held our ancestors as slaves. Until we change those narratives, until we reverse the way we've been taught, until we change the indoctrination that has been lauded upon us, a lot of the things that we're dealing with right now will continue to be dealt to us.
Well, that's the thing. That's the
thing. I want to say this, if you don't mind. Yeah, baby. We are the only race, right? In a sense, we like to bring up this old Black people changing the narrative, and it's Black people. They make stereotypical arguments for the things of us being Blackness, and things are not socially acceptable for people just being themselves based on how they grew up and how they're going to live life. We always talk about changing the narrative, but we are also still some of the most accepting. We are the only accepting race when it comes down to it. Is a lot of people don't even want to be Black. They don't want to claim the title. Well, we're not Black. Black is a color. I mean, cool. But again, you understand when we say Black, we're not meaning the color. You understand the cultural difference between an inanimate object and a person with feelings.
Exactly.
Let me finish. When it comes down to it, is that it's always that we got to change the narrative. We got to do this and we got to do that. And we can do anything we want. We got coons out here that will downright absolutely abandon their whole skin color just to be accepted. It's not a we thing. It's not that at all. The world needs to change their opinion about black people. Because you can look at any other race. They're allowed to be eccentric in their race. Call it urban styling. A lot of people didn't grow up in the same hood that I grew up in. That's cool. A lot of people didn't see a lot of things that I've seen. That's cool as well. But if you are not 360 degrees full circle around it, do not speak on those problems, honestly, because you are tone deaf to most of those things because it does not relate to you. You don't want it to relate to you because you know the negative impact and the connotation that it has behind it. So when you speak on it, well, black people listen, and black people need to maybe they need to pull up their pants and stop wearing golds and probably stop rap music. You sound like a weirdo when you say that. Most people sound like weirdos when they say that. Some people bring, well, Biden did a bill to help Asian people out. That's fine. He helped gay people out. That's fine. I agree to the point that we should, instead of marching in the streets, we should go try to change legislative laws. That's an agreeable point. But in the same sense, everything that you're speaking on, if you are not, well, just because you are a descendant of a slave, does not mean you understand what oppression is. You are solely getting based off the color of your skin, and most people don't even claim the real Negro. You feel me? Because if you were, the real Negro are Israelites.
So is that directed at me? No, is that directed at me?
Let me finish. A hit dog gonna holler. This is not directed at anybody. I didn't say.
I'm asking if you're directing that at me.
I would like to finish my point.
But are you directing that at me? Yes or no?
I would like to finish my point. That'd be fire. Can I finish my point?
As long as you're not directing it at me, man.
If it was directed at you, I would have said your name, Derek.
Because I'm just saying because we're here to make points, not directing at each other, right?
I've not directed anything at you, Derek. Not one thing. You are not the only person in the world that says this, sir. So when it comes down to it, I feel like a lot of people don't understand the black experience. It's cool to just you match the melanin, you can pass, you can come to the cookouts, what they like to say nowadays. But you don't even understand what you're going against. A lot of black people understand that they don't have economic value. I can agree that they don't have economic value. But that's not up to black people to change. Because anybody, any race can be themselves and not be judged for it. Black people do shit and get called ghetto for. Look at the PTSD that comes behind the blackness. That's a real thing. A lot of people, you see your homeboys, your people that you love dying every day. Well, that's black issue, black on black crime. That's proximity crime. Every race kills themselves. That's not a mystery. But because the media makes it out to feel like black people are more dangerous than white people or any other race in America's standpoint, or 50% of all we're 13% of the population to 50% of crime, or violent crime, or murder. People grope that in as if all black people are dangerous. Just because you have a different viewpoint on the world does not mean they are not going to look at you the same way they don't look at me, but because you don't have the experience that matches, when you speak on it, you're going to come from a tone-deaf standpoint. That is wild to me. Instead of trying to understand what it's like, you want to make your sole judgment based on the color of your skin. Well, I'm black, and they're going to say that all black people are criminals, so therefore I'm going to segregate myself and make myself not to be them. And that's my closing point, man. I don't even want to talk after that.
No, I feel that, and you made a really good point. And even when you was breaking it down, went back to the title where it was really, really prevalent again. It's like the issue there again is black, like that open ass term black. That's cool. Like I'm not mad at the term black, honestly. If you know what black represents, what it is, you're essentially talking about God. In my retrospect, from a scientific placement, you know what I mean? But to touch on the point that you and Derek just made, I have to say, also what Minister Kojo just mentioned, why ARNA, and I'm not mad at the Hebrew Israelites. I'm not mad at you trying to get yourself together, spiritually, politically, whatever the case is. But while I would make the point of our tribe in specificity being the solution to what everybody's talking about here, is because one, if you ain't got your own doctors to go to when shit goes left, when your enemies start putting crazy shit out like we done already seen, if you got to go to their doctors to get right, you already lost. Period. You know what I mean? Like the fact that we will go to our enemies' medical care, especially when we know what their medical care has done to black folks or Aboriginal people or identify Hebrew Israelite people here in North America, you're insane. Why don't you have your own doctors?
But say, if you don't mind,
yeah.
When you, go ahead. You say Hebrew Israelite, you're just saying black, melanin. That's all you're saying. Is the Hebrew is just Israelite is just that. It's not a such thing as a Hebrew Israelite. You're just saying you're just a Negro.
Right. I feel that.
That's all I want to say.
Okay. No, and I appreciate that point. Yeah, like when we were talking about legally, one form of colloquially, breaking down terms, we usually use the term Aboriginal because that's more of a direct term, even over African. You know what I mean? Or African American, African, or like Aboriginal is just the term of their original people. That's the term that we usually use to protect ourselves legally, especially when you're dealing with foreign venues and things of that nature. Aboriginal is the term. I just kind of dip in terms that we kind of know colloquially for the most part. But I appreciate that. I appreciate that correction. But yeah, so kind of building on that, if you got to go to your enemy's doctors, you're already losing. Point blank, like that needs to be a freeze right there. You know what I mean? Like if when shit goes wrong and you got to go to their shit, you're already taking the L. Two is what Bro Derek was building on. What the point that we would make, and what we would say is, if you, before you even get right spiritually, mentally, physically, like the average Negro, African American, whatever the case is, isn't going to. There's no direction. That's the problem with black people here in North America. There's no direction. Like it's good to get right spiritually, politically, mentally, all that stuff, but there's no direction. Like you're first off, we're going to white people to figure that shit out. We're going to their psychologists. We're opting in their political, paradigms. Democrat, Republican, Independent. You know what I mean? Like those are their terms. Those are their political parties. We're saying we've got the solutions here in regards to everything you was breaking down, Bro Derek. You know what I mean? Like everything that you was mentioning. Like before we can, you mentioned before we get into our tribal governments, let's figure out ourselves. You can't. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna be that bold. You can't figure it out because niggas been trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? Like it ain't no results. We got results over here. But I respect the diligence, though. I respect the willingness to want to do it, and those are the people we want to direct. Everybody ain't built for real black, Aboriginal, indigenous building. You know what I mean? Like government building, God body building. Everybody ain't built for that shit. You know what I mean? So in the conversation of who's good, if you over there getting vaccinated, stay over there. Stay over there. We're not even talking about you. You know what I mean? We talking about people with the common sense and the diligence to do for self. I'm not saying because you don't have your own doctors, like that's a very specific thing, a special thing to have. Not everybody has their own doctor, not everybody has their own psychologist, not everybody has their own lawyers. So I understand that, we got to do something, but it's a whole nother degree when you're just eating up everything white mommy and white daddy says. You know what I mean? So those, the people that are diligent and who are wanting to build and just need direction, we're like, yo, let's build. You know what I mean? It's like the tribal government. Like me as an individual, let's build with you. You know what I mean? Let's see what we can work out. But no, Minister Kojo want to build on that too. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna toss to the God real quick. Toss to the God.
No, I mean, you pretty much hit on it, man. I mean, like the bottom line from what everyone's been saying is that no one's taking anyone's like how they have been brought up, what their choice of religion is, or blah blah blah. The main point that people are overlooking is that we as a people, politically, economically, are way behind 400 plus years. And we continue to, like Derek was saying, going to these people or tapping in or just utilizing them and hearing their narrative when in actuality we already know what the narrative is. We already know how we need to move. We already know the history. We already know what to do. We're already doing it. All these things that you were bringing up, we already have solutions like Minister Ken was saying. And that's how we've been moving accordingly. So that's one thing I just want to make sure that I guess you're not like I don't want you to miss that point that you know we already have the doctors that are curing illnesses that these Europeans and all these doctors across the world are saying are incurable. We're already curing that stuff. We have our own we have our own cosmologists or psychiatrists that if you want to use that term that have been healing folks in the sense of they're telling them who they are and they're telling them what their dysfunctions are down to the core, down to the birth chart. And so there's no mystery in who the person is when you know who you are. And we already have that system and we are already doing it and we're telling people who they are and what the dysfunctions that they can possibly tap into if they're not careful and they don't stay aligned, meaning they're not taking care of their body, they're not taking care of their mind, or they're just around in an environment where people are fully vaccinated. That also does play into effect of how the outcome of your body reacts to someone who's fully vaccinated, right? As an example. And so that's what I'm telling you that we have already been addressing these things. It's just a matter of if the person is willing to actually take the step and find out, okay, what is it that y'all are doing that is different from everyone else? And all we can just say is just open the curtain and see what's behind it. And it's
That's real. That's real. Go ahead, bro, Derek. Like you want to build.
Yeah, I was just gonna. So my journey in my life is always about learning. When I was in school, one of the first things I remember my teacher telling me is, the greatest teacher is the one who's willing to become a student, right? Because you're always learning something as you go, right? You can always teach, but if you're not willing to learn, then you'll never teach anything beyond what you know. So for me, coming into a room like this and listening to other people's speak on the issue and what it means to be black is always a learning thing for me. Here's my thing though. This information that you just mentioned here, my question in regards to that is how do you populate that amongst everyone so that everyone is aware of it? Because the thing is, it's one thing to say we have the knowledge, we have this and we have that, right? For me personally, it's much more powerful where you know where to go and get more of that knowledge so that other people is aware of it. Because the thing is this is one of our Achilles heel. We have pockets of this information buried amongst quote unquote blacks, right? Negroes, whatever you want to call us. This information is you have your group here that has it, maybe another group that has some level of that information, but it's never really disseminated across the genre of all of us, so that all of us are aware of it. And I think this is one of our problem is that there are many of us have chosen to not chosen. Many of us are not aware of this information. I'm aware of some of it, but not all of it, so that you can always go each one, teach one, tell one, so that someone else can keep passing the information down the line until everybody's aware of it. When you look at what's happening in quote unquote the black community, we have always been relying on someone else to give us a direction. And I think the fellow who was speaking before is talking about pockets of that stuff where if you're not from a certain area, you can't really stick to that area. The issue I have is whatever information we have, we should have that information sourced so that others can be aware of that information, so that they can teach their children that information, so that we don't have to rely on the next person to give us that information. You know that they're not going to give us the information that we want. They're going to give us the information that they want to give us. So until we get this information where we can actually put it in a place where everyone have access to it, we're still going to have the challenges of dealing with the stuff that we're dealing with today. So, for example, sorry, I don't mean to cut you, but just for example, the whole stuff with the vaccine. You know, we can go and talk to 10,000 different black people, and they'll give you 10,000 different responses as to how they feel about it, what they know about it, what they're going to do about it, and what they're not going to do about it. This information that you have here, in my opinion, is not just powerful, but it's not just self-serving. It's, to me, it's nation building. But until we have full access to this information, until everybody has full access to this information, so and maybe Clubhouse is one way to get it out, but I'm just saying we need to have more access to it so that more is aware of it and not relying on just trying to find out stuff for yourself.
No, and you're right. But the thing is, it is out there. It's on the World Wide Web. Governmentreparations.org is one website as a source, and another one is HAWAB.org. There's many different websites that are saying the same thing that are in our tribe. And then there's and it's on YouTube as well. Aboriginal Global
Totally
Media.
agree.
And so the information is there for people to learn. It's a matter of, I use that analogy. Are you willing to pull behind the curtain and actually listen to the information? Because it's been there, and I've seen people. They were like, "Oh, I don't, this is nice, but like, where can you get the information?" They say the same thing like you. And I'm like, you're more than welcome to just go to those sources that I just listed for you. Even just a simple search on ARNA, or how to get self-administrated reparations. When I say self-administrated, meaning no one has to do it for you, it's you that's doing it. It's right as soon as you type that in, it pops up. So when we do things like Clubhouse, or when we hold events like the Aboriginal Powwow, those, or just even the summit that's in Atlanta that's coming up in August, we do those things to give people an opportunity to actually find out, okay, how can I solve my own problem? How can I solve this issue that I've been dealing with? Or how can I build with a group of people who are on that same frequency? That's why me and Minister Ken are always doing these type of things where we hop on Clubhouse, or we host public classes. I mean, all the stuff that we're doing is a chance for people to actually tap into it. It's just sometimes people get caught up in old behaviors, or old habits, or old ways of thinking, that whenever something is proposed or laid out for you, like such as tax exemption, people flinch. They're like, oh shit, tax exemption, nah, can't happen. Never, impossible. Like, people have already dismissed that idea, when that's not the case. We're actually living that, and there's ways to do that, and we're doing that, and we're showing people how to do that. But it's a matter of fear that strikes people, right? And then that goes back into, people need to heal. And so how do you heal? Well, one, you need to know how to mate properly is one thing, especially when you're going to create a future offspring. And two, you got to actually take care of the vessel, meaning you got to heal certain things that have been, damaged through improper eating, or improper ways of thinking. And so that stuff also matters, and we've also laid that out. It's just a matter of people actually making the decision to change that paradigm and take the information and then verify what we're saying is true. Because you may say, oh, well, that I don't believe you. I'm going to verify myself. And we encourage that. So, yeah.
So here's the thing, Mr. Kojo. I love what you're saying. Here's the thing. When I run my own business, right? I don't even watch TV anymore because of there's this stuff that it just keeps feeding into your brain, right? So that's the kind of narrative I'm talking about. So, for example, the for lack of a better word, the elites who control the media and the information that gets pushed through the media. You turn the TV on, boom, that's what you get. Night in, day out. Day out, night in. And that keeps pushing the narrative. What I'm trying to say is this. We have to get to a level of being able to push out that information on a regular basis so everyone is aware of it and not just in pockets. I mentioned that earlier on, and that's where I'm coming from. The issue is that I find that we have been struggling with is that this information is not getting to everyone, just like how they're pushing their information and their knowledge ware at us through their media or through their medium consistently, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You know what I'm saying? Every single day, you're going to get the same narrative. This is what they've been doing, and they've been doing it for a long time. They've got this down pat now to the point where we're being force-fed this information over and over and over and over and over again, to the point where you're almost forced to come to realization that, almost like you don't have an option. And I'm hearing you say that we have an option. What I would like to also hear is we have a motivating movement to get more of that information out. Because here's the thing, what I like about people, and it doesn't really matter what people you are, people are habitual. When they find out information about something, they will go and figure out how to make that information work for them. This is one of the reasons why we are so good at what we do. Black people, I'm speaking, is that we're very good at making sure the information that we get is going to be applicable for us down the road, and we're going to actually use it and even become better at it. The thing, though, is that we have to not just have that information in small pockets, but we have to blow that information out there, just like what they're doing right now with the media and the medium that they're using to get their information out into everyone else's brain. We have to do the same thing in order so that you have 47 million people in the US. How many of them are aware of this information? The fraction should not be a fraction. It should be a whole sum. It should be more and more and more and more until everybody is fully indoctrinated in the words that you're speaking so that they now have that information and they now become powerful with that information and move the agenda forward. And that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and the thing is that that's what we're doing, right? We continue to push this narrative every day by different means. Now, keep in mind that that does require institutions, right? Which we are building, right? And we have built, but it also takes time in the sense of how they started wasn't just they were right out the gate. They've been brainwashing people since the day of time, and they were really good at it. Actually, it's been a period of hypnotic rhythm over time that they kept on adding and adding and adding and adding and adding. Listen, as far as broadcasting TV, unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of people. Let me dial it back a little bit. As far as TV goes, the new TV is the internet, YouTube. That is Facebook, Facebook Live, Facebook TV, Instagram Live. That is the new form Snapchat Live. Those are the form TikTok Live, Clubhouse. These are the new forms of TV, and so not to disregard people who watch Fox and CNN on cable, to those who still have cable or they have specific subscriptions, blah blah blah, since now things are like in a subscription based type of model. But the thing is that is where we're at, and we have been targeting people. We have been targeting the whole wide web, in the sense of the information is there. We've talked to people, we've talked to everybody in all these 50 states. We've shown the information time and time and time again. People sometimes, the reason what holds them back from actually utilizing the information is fear. I've known people who have known about what ARNA has been doing, and they just been following for 6 years, and then they finally decided to actually take action. There's people who just watch. There's a lot more people who are aware of ARNA, but they sit back on the sidelines out of fear or out of, well, I don't know if this shit is gonna work. Like they've already counted us out. And there's people who will pop up and say, "How is that thing going with the indigenous government?" I'm like, "It's going well. It's going really well."
You also gotta remember when the pandemic hit and like everything was shutting down, everything was getting crazy. Oh, ARNA was getting flooded. Oh, we had Negroes from all over the world. Even though it's only North America could pop off, niggas coming all over the world to hopping in. I'm like, I need to get nationalized. Like, seeing the videos, in the news, you know what I mean? They know exactly what to send. I was like, God damn, you know what I mean? This is from all over the country. I didn't want to interrupt the bill, you know what I mean? But I just wanted to add that in real quick. Like,
no, and that proves the point. Like, there are people who have been watching for years, and they just sit on the information. They sit on the information. So what I'm telling you is that we have been pushing the narrative. I mean, even when you say that we're doing it in small pockets, I mean, but like it's not really small pockets because we've done it in person where we've held the class and it's live in New York and in Harlem, in the Harlem theater, and people and it's recorded on YouTube, like, and it's streamed live, right? So anyone who's tapped into YouTube who's looking for solutions to their problems, or they just want to know more about health, or they want to know about their mind, or things of that nature, or just political issues that are happening currently, right? Such as what doesn't matter if we as a people vote, and we've discussed all these things. But here's the thing. No one can force you or make you move to take action. And so, like Mr. Ken had mentioned, people have been sitting back watching and never have executed on information that they've known for years. I mean, years. So there's people who know about ARNA, but they always like to say, you know what? I'm going to try something else. And if those things don't work, then I'll come back and say, you know what? This is the thing that's working because it's still here and it's not a scheme. I'm not kidding, but that's what's happened. I get the same story.
Right. Real quick, let me just build because on the point you made, bro, Derek, which is a good point because let's go just said the same thing. We catch that thing a lot. It's like, even Sadie's beyond like, you can't. Because we're getting a situation. We see a situation on news where someone gets killed or someone didn't move the right way and got themselves in a situation. I'd be like, should have rocked with ARNA. And she make a good point. Like, not everybody knows about ARNA. You know what I mean? Like, not everybody knows, so you can't be so quick to like move. And that's true, but to a degree, when we're working in, because it's so hard to see that stuff. They promote it everywhere. Like, black person gets killed on, crazily. They gonna put that mug in every form of everything they humanly can. Let a white boy catch that work though with them hands. That's just scrubbed 2 days later, 3 days later. You know what I mean? But outside of the point, right? Outside of the point. When you're in a situation, when you hear something like this, and you want to validate, because niggas talk about stuff working all the time, right? Niggas got a solution for everything, but ain't doing nothing with nothing. Like, right? Because I could be here and be like, okay, here's what we got. It happens all the time. Sean can testify. Here's what we got to offer. This. It works. We have all the receipts. How can we work together and with whatever you've got to build on it? Not for us just to give you, and we're always we're giving. Like, we'll definitely work with you for sure. But who's doing what we're doing so that we can kind of build together? And it's usually crickets. And I'm not mad at that. You know what I mean? Like, it just took me a while to get that. But what I'm saying here, a perfect example, bro, Derek, you said you got a business. You're an entrepreneur. And I saw your profile. Look like you're doing a lot of stuff, man. Respect to that, fam. But I would ask you, is your business registered with the IRS? Are you allowing them to get 20% of whatever it is that you make? So if you make $1 million next year, if you made $1 million this year, are you not giving them $200,000 out of your pocket? You know what I mean? And most people, it's like, it's just the way it is. No, you know what I mean? We register our own businesses. They're tribal businesses, for-profit or non-profit, LLCs, corporations. 501Cs, 3s, 501Ds, holding whatever tribal, and you don't have to pay taxes on that joint. So even if you ain't even with us, if you're a national of our tribal government, if you're not indigenous national with us, you can get a business from us and be tax exempt for life with that. You know what I mean? Like, granted, like IRS is coming to us. If there's any smoke, IRS is coming to us before they come to you, and they don't come to us because they know what the deal is. Everybody knows jurisdiction except for black folks. I mean, most people, but police and the foreign venue and judges, they know jurisdiction very well. So what I'm saying is, I don't. But yours might already be tribal. I don't want to assume. You know what I mean? But if it is, I would be like, yeah, God, you doing it right. You know what I mean? Like, respect. We need to talk about that a little bit more. This should have been the title of the room. You know what I mean? If that was the case, I'd let people on it. But if you don't, if you're not on it, then it's like, yo, that's something to tap in. That's what we're doing. You know what I mean? It's like nothing we're trying to do. We got it on deck. Want to be tax exempt for life? Everybody in here want to be tax exempt for life? That's reparations. Niggas, ADOS and all them other niggas talking about, respectful. I say respect them niggas. I use that term in the highest regard. You talking about reparations and how we gonna get it. Well, we're talking about it right now. Tax exemption for life is a form of reparations. So, you know what I mean? Yeah. I know it was a lot just there, but yeah, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, and that's what we've been saying. It's all these things that what Minister Ken just mentioned is one of the self-administered reparations. We don't have to ask permission. That's the one thing that is very clear. We don't ask for permission for what we do, because there are specific laws that are written specifically for the quote-unquote Negro indigenous person, and that's what we tap into, and we can build on that. So that's what we're trying to say, is that it doesn't have to be the way it is. It can change, and it always has to start with you, right? And now I'm not saying it starts with us in general. I mean, we were all in one point in the same spot where we're like, man, I'm tired of this white supremacy shit. Like, what the fuck is happening? That can't even get by. Niggas is taxing me. Like, what is this? Like, what life is this? Like, why do I feel that something is wrong and off? But we have that's why we're saying, like, we're ready to have that conversation with you, and just anyone in the room that has that type of question. And that's why we do these clubhouses to begin with, or just classes in general, with real life applications to go home and go do it and execute. If you don't want to be part of ARNA, that's one thing. That's fine. We can still tell you how you need to move, and you can do your own thing, and protect you and your family. So.
Oh yeah, and I'll add real quick in there, and I'll pass the mic to whoever else want to build. I don't know if I said it before, but yeah, not everybody for sure knows about ARNA. A lot of people do, but for those who don't, and you're hearing this, and you're like, nigga, tax exemption for life, and I'm like, okay, bet legally, I won't go to jail. We're not talking. Just to be clear, we're not talking about the Wesley Snipes shit, right? We're not talking about the Moore. You know what I mean? Like, we're not talking. This is the Morris conversation. You know what I mean? But there's a history behind that that's accurate, but it's very specific. It's not how they tell it. But anyway, what we're saying is, if you're hearing this information and it's new, and you're like, yo, this legit, and you want to receive them legit, and how come more people don't know? Yo, spread the information to your peeps. You know what I mean? Like, log in our profiles and talk. Like, look, the more marketing, the better. You know what I mean? Like, tax exemption for life. White folks in on your ass. You know what I mean? Operate. No more tickets, speeding tickets, and all that stuff. Just we can dissipate that. No more viruses and STDs and all. Like, we kicking all that stuff back. So yeah, not a lot of people know you. To a degree, you are correct. What we would say is spread the word. And have more people spread the word. If it sounds legit, if you want to test us, if it's real, test us, see if it's real, and help spread the word on it. You know what I mean? Like, we can use all the word of mouth guide. You know what I'm talking about?
That's interesting. That's cool. So just a few clarification. I'm not American. I'm actually living in Canada. So for me, this is a lot of this stuff that you guys are talking about is information that I think is extremely important. Um, whether or not you do have or don't have a Canadian content, it's important that you probably should have a Canadian content, because if this is something that's unless it's specific to just the U.S., this is really really important stuff. So I don't have a problem with any of that stuff. I would definitely like to know more about it, because I think at the end of the day, when you go back to Black Wall Street and what transpired then, and the way we were affected since then, if this is where you guys are going with this stuff, then I think it's a powerful stage. As far as pushing the agenda, I got no problem pushing the agenda. I'll even push it on my website. I got no issue with those things. I just need to know that the information is there, and then others have access to it as well. And then that way you can keep pushing the narrative right across the board. And I really do believe that the narrative is one of the places that needs to change, because we've been indoctrinated with so much bullshit for such a long time. In order for that to change, we have to start with us. Like, we have to start changing us, and before we can change anyone else. I keep telling my friends and anyone who's willing to listen, put your mask on first. You have to first fix you before you can go fix anyone. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I always look at my space.
Right. And to add to that, brother, we have some nationals in Canada, and the same thing applies. There's an Indian Act in Canada where it provides exemptions. I think it's under like
yes, it is.
Yeah,
yes, it does.
Section, I think it's like Section 87 or something like that, where it talks about.
Yep, Section 87. Yep.
So we have nationals that are tapping into the same thing from ARNA that live in Canada. So it applies to all Indigenous people on this landmass. So yeah, I just wanted to make you aware of that. So.
I'll also add with that real briefly. We also have, for things you can't. We have what's called the IPA, or the Indigenous Political Authority, which is for even though you're on the continent that we're on. For Aboriginal people outside of North America, you can still be a part of the political group, the political entity that we have to claim your Aboriginal status as an Aboriginal from the UK, Aboriginal from Jamaica, Aboriginal from Australia, whatever it is, and say, hey, I'm declaring my rights. There are particular rights and that we have as Aboriginal peoples from wherever we're at, and we are rolling with this tribal government because I promise you, moving forward, we're not. Because I ain't coming off like we're pushing anything or selling anything. I'll be honest with you. Like, with what we got right now, we're already on the trajectory to change the game. Like give us like the next 2 or 3 months, you're about to see some major, even bigger moves if you haven't already heard about us. You know what I mean? But what I'm going to get into is we're moving into the political realm as well, and being more active with taking in levels of government, or even the U.S. government, because we're dual citizens of the United States as well. So our people can also run for president. Our chief has, staked a claim in for presidency. You know what I mean? So we're about to go through these modalities, even in the United States jurisdiction. But I think I'll just say that, like, even on the political end, even if you like, let me vote, in our own capacity, Aboriginal, quote unquote black. You know what I mean? With people with an agenda for reparations who are bringing tangibles to the table. You can tap into that at is it indigenouspoliticalauthority.org, fam, or Minister Kojo, or what is it? IPA.org. I forget off the top of my head.
No, it's indigenouspoliticalauthority.org.
Copy that. Yeah. Should probably remember that. But yeah, I just want to throw that out there. On the political side, just on the different angle.
Sorry, can you repeat that again? Sorry.
indigenouspoliticalauthority.org. And the thing is that we can show people how to actually develop that same template all across the globe, right? Because jurisdiction is the name of the game, right? And so just because of how we set it up here on this landmass, North America, isn't necessarily the same exact laws that are needing to be invoked. Like we just mentioned that tax exemption is not the same clause in the United States, quote unquote, of America versus Canada, because Canada is like I said, Section 87 of the Indian Act, right, for tax exemption for indigenous people, right? So we can show people, whether they're in Africa, whether they're in Europe, blah blah blah. It doesn't matter. The whole point is that we want people to understand that you don't have to keep taking this Eurocentric template that has been used throughout the whole world, and everybody's being collateralized for it. So, yeah. So anyway.
It's like a lecture. We're gonna sound like a lecture. You know what I mean? But look, anybody that's on the call, you know what I mean? Like whatever you got going, look, let us. We're not just here to be like, yo, come follow us. Well, okay, we are. I ain't gonna lie, like, you know what I mean? I ain't seen no real black institutions, organizations, groups, white organizations, groups, whatever, have any remedy for what we got going. You know what I mean? So I mean, to a degree, I hate to sound like we just doing it, but it is what it is. If anybody, but if you got something that you want help with, tax exemption, like tax exempt your business, allow us to help tax exempt your business. You know what I mean? Allow us to, let you know what your destiny looks like within the next few months, within a year. See what your money gain looks like. You know what I mean? What else? Give you a scan. Give you a whole bio reading without having to stick anything in you or give you any radiation, because we've got our own bio readers and scans, and we use indigenous science and modalities to break that down. You can compare that stuff to your hospital or your clinic, you know what I mean, or whatever, and utilize that scan. So yeah, you can tap in. You can tap in. You know what I mean? Let us know whatever we can help y'all with. Look, we're here. We're here to build with y'all. You know what I mean? So shit, are you really black? Shit, at this point, who gives a shit? Oh, go ahead.
So no, you good. Joshua, you raised your hand, so I wanted you get to ask your question.
Oh yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah, peace and power, everybody. I had two questions for you. One is, so I'm thinking about getting dual citizenship between America and Ghana, and I want to know, do you think that would affect like an application or anything like that, or would there be a need to maybe do that first and then go towards what you guys are talking about, procedure wise? Yes. And the second question is if I started the process tomorrow, what does that what would that timeline be till now I can launch an LLC or a 501c3 or something like that underneath the Aboriginal government?
Yeah. So and here's the thing. So it's interesting. You say you're wanting to get a dual citizenship in Ghana and America. So question for you is, do you have a lineage in Ghana? Is that the driving factor for that? And you can answer it on the back end if you want to or not. It's fine.
I mean, real quick, yeah, my family is married into a Ghanaian family.
Okay, gotcha.
And I do have ancestry. I do have some ancestry in Ghana. Yeah, but my family's married into a Ghanaian family. So when I go over to Ghana, I'm visiting family members.
Gotcha. So here's one thing. So you can still claim your nationality despite you wanting to have dual, how can I say, quote unquote, allegiance to two different countries, right? To do two different land masses. You can still be a dual national, if that makes sense. And it doesn't, everyone has, there's according to international law, everyone has the right to claim their nationality. And so just by you claiming your nationality does not affect, but the key thing, something to keep in mind is that the same thing that you're doing over there, you're going to put yourself in a jeopardizing position. So you want to make sure that how you interface with them is proper, because the reason why we we don't want to be caught up on the landmass of the United States of America is the 14th Amendment amendment, which makes everybody a second-class citizen, right? Well, at least the Negro, black, whatever. It makes us a second-class citizen, and where we don't even have rights to begin with, because the U.S. Constitution was written for the posterity of white people, right? So therefore, we don't have access to all of the rights. We have what is called access to certain rights through Supreme Court, clauses that have been passed and things of that nature. So I want to make sure that I address that part, is that contracts is important. So how you contract with Ghana really will affect how you are received or when you're on that landmass. You don't want to put yourself in a binding position where you're back in when you're denationalized, right? So everything is based off of contracts. So you just be careful of that. And so to kind of make sure that I answer the last part, as far as getting your, so let's say if you wanted to start, have a business registered within ARNA, right? 24 to 48 hours, you'll have all your business documents sent over to you, and with instructions of how to operate it and utilizing what you need to do and things of that nature. But if you were to actually go through the nationality process, depending on, how things are fluctuating between, what me and Minister Ken got going on, it can take anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks, or it could be quicker. But sometimes it depends on you, because there are certain processes that you have to do that we cannot force. We cannot speed up, like such as the exam and things of that nature. So I'll walk you through just very quickly the process. We fill out an intake form with all the information of your history and things of that nature. And then you are given an exam, nationality exam, as far as based off of the video and based off certain books and materials that we'll send to you to read and to look over to answer the test. Once you answer the test, then you would pay for the fee, and the fee is $720. Once you do that, then we get you started with your first business, and that first business can be in a different name if you choose to. If you wanted to have a different name for the business, that's fine, but it's typically after the name that you have chosen for your nationality, right? And so you're given those documents and things of that nature, and then we ask you to open up a bank account. You open up a business bank account, blah blah blah. You show us proof, then we move forward with the next process, which is issuing your nationality documents, as well as instructions, and as well as identification. And within that process, that can take anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks, because sometimes you may not get to it and it takes a little bit longer, or sometimes there's a delay where we're traveling or we're occupied doing class or something like that. So that's generally the process of when someone becomes a national. And we have videos, we have time that we set aside that we explain the process, we explain the documents and things of that nature. And then once you're on board and things of that nature, then you join a ministry for participation, and then we have bi-weekly classes. So hopefully that answers that question, Minister Ken. I know you wanted to add something to that as well. So.
Yeah, no, I was gonna ask, because I was moving around and I wanted to. I was gonna ask, but I didn't want to interrupt. If you touched on one thing real quick, but yeah, I'll go ahead and build on that. So, well, okay. I also want to ask the brother Joshua. Were you born here? The Ghanaian lineage that you have, was it through a genealogy test, or was it through? You said you got family there. That's what's up. Or I don't know if that was the family you said was married in, but was it like an ancestry test you took to validify your Ghanaian background?
Yeah, so my family is married in, so like Black Americans married into Ghanaian family. There was Fanti. Let's use the real language, right? Fanti, right? Yeah. So the Ghanaian ancestry that I did find out through an ancestry test. I found out, but I've also found out through divination, right. some of my other African roots, and through other spirituality, and my native roots as well, and of course through family. Like my native roots, I know through my family. I'm Choctaw.
That's what's up.
So we don't have, there's no proof that I have found. I just have to connect to some of the family members that have done genealogy and see if they've gone that route yet.
And we can we can help with that as well. So
right, cool. But yeah, I know I'm Bantu, and potentially Fulani.
Okay.
So my uncle looked at me and he was like, "You Fulani." Like, I'm looking at you, tell you Fulani. And then later I saw and I ran into the Fulani people, and they couldn't speak English. They didn't speak English, but they looked at me and they was like, "Brother." Like, they was like, "Oh yeah, you brother." Like, and they thought I had some money, because they was begging. Right. It was like, but I could tell, I looked at them, they looked at me like, "Where you been?"
Right. No, and that's what's up, right? Like, that's, I'm actually glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that, because I see the lineage perspectives. It also brings up the fact that it's funny because, I know the Ghanaian people are opening up in many instances, open their arms up for Aboriginals of America to come through and have have citizenship there. But then I've heard situations just due to the political structures and stuff like that some black people of the Americas are going over there and catching a little bit of friction, shit like that, right? But then you also mentioned how you have some Choctaw or some Cherokee, some indigenous roots here, wherein
Choctaw.
Yeah, Choctaw roots, wherein it's that's even more widely known that's a black government institution. The first COINTELPRO that happened. It wasn't in the 60s and all that stuff. That actually happened in tribal governments, right? So the tribal governments were infiltrated because there wasn't any such thing as white Native American, pale, straight-haired, like Indian people. You know what I mean? Like, Indian was synonymous to black. You know what I mean? You had those people here, but they damn near had the exact same numbers that they have now. Like, they try to make it seem like their numbers dwindle down through the no. Like, that was the thing. So my point to that is, the black people here in America, we kind of have it's a weird position because we're nationless. They try to make it seem like we're nationless, and you ask me, it's because of the frequency that black people of the Americas have to try to make sure that these Negroes stay nationless. Because we've seen what these niggas can do when they get a little bit of energy, a little bit of money, right? The shit starts, turning up. So in a good way. But I would say it would be important for you if you want to that the God Nev. Peace to the God Nev. That's Nev. Peace, God. What's good with you, man? This brother doing some magical work over there on his side in the tribe over there, man. We might have to let the God break down what he do. But my point to that is, if you're gonna go from here to there in Ghana and set up shop over there, you're gonna want to. We would suggest to get into a tribal government first. ARNA is open. You're not going through any of the fuckery. You know what I mean, that you get with other tribes. But it's important because this is one I want to ask Kojo if he touched on it, because I checked out for a second. If you go there and if you go there as a slave, like your slave status that you're currently in, if you're not in the tribal government and black, you know what I mean? If you go there as a slave, you can get washed up legally from another nation real quickly. You know what I mean? Like, you can find yourself under subjugation real easily without your own nationality that you're going there with. So it's just a protection mechanism that we say, if you want to set up shop in another government, don't do it as like a 14th Amendment second class subject citizen. You know what I mean? Which is a slave, status. You know what I mean? You should go there as a United States national, not just a U.S. citizen, a U.S. national. Go there as a indigenous national as well, and that way you have jurisdiction backing you up whenever you get there. You know what I mean? So you'll be more grounded when you make that move. And you mentioned LLCs. The LLCs should be very quick. Like, we can get that done, if not in like a few days, within the week. The business is a lot faster than the nationality process. Yeah, because there's some things to go through. But the nationality process isn't that crazy. Like the guy mentioned, Minister Kojo. At maybe 8 weeks, a little bit longer, depending on how you move it. You know what I mean? So we make it happen. You know what I mean? We make it happen for sure.
Yeah, and good reiteration of all that, because that's want to make sure that everybody hits home in what we're saying. So, yes, to answer your question, Minister Ken, yes, we did touch on it. So, thank you.
Okay, gotcha. My bad.
No, you're good. No, you remember, just like Brother Derek is saying, right? We got to say it multiple times, right?
Right. That's real. Yeah, fam. You know what I mean? We yeah. It is what it is, fam. So yeah, you want to work with us, guys. You want to build with us. Yeah, we're here. We're definitely here.
It's Nev who first put me on.
Hey. Goddamn.
Yeah, that's the brethren.
Yeah, bro, that's the guy right there, man. He pulled up to the powwow.
Mm-hmm.
We have to come up with names for the brothers and sisters that pulled up to the powwow, man. That's another powwowian. You know what I mean? They're pulling up. You know what I mean? So,
brothers, I had one just to add on question, and that would be: do y'all know anyone who has done that? Who is like in your tribe and has gotten dual citizenship somewhere else? Because one of the reasons I'm looking at it is a strategic reason as well. Like there's some work that we're doing with people here, right? Like in Africa, it's like because the soil quality is different, the air is different, the everything is and so there's some like specific reasons why I'm like purchasing land in Ghana and doing work there and all that kind of stuff. So I'm wondering, do y'all have anyone who's done anything like that? Because there's a large expat, population that's there.
Ooh, that brother Kojo, the guy Kojo is, I'm gonna go ahead and that's the man. That brother he pulls up to Ghana like every other. You know what I'm talking about? So yeah. Go ahead and break it down.
Yeah. So. Here's the thing, like me and Minister Ken were saying. So your status is important, right? So if you don't have your nationality established and you go over there operating the same way that you were doing here over there without a nationality, you're gonna find yourself you're gonna take an L, because they're gonna, you're probably familiar with Ghana's government. It is very corrupt, just like any other government, but it's very corrupt. And how they move is very slow. And so you need to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row. And at the same time, if you wanted to actually do all of that, you need to have your nationality. And so I would encourage you to actually, like Minister Ken was saying, tap into your nationality before you actually start attaching things to your 14th Amendment citizen name. So I have family in Ghana as well, specifically Don Soma, and also Kumasi. So that's what I would say to you.
Okay, you might missed the question. I was asking, do you have anybody in your tribe who's done that?
Yeah,
You have? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Kumasi, they say that's where the most beautiful women are?
Good question.
He know what I'm talking about. Yeah. That's why he laughed.
I'm a plead the fifth.
So just a quick jump in here because I'm exhausted. I'm gonna go off to bed. I usually just leave quietly, but this has been a very engaging conversation. I've just been listening while you guys talk. So I've been just on the web here, running through a whole bunch of stuff, and I see a whole bunch of things alluding to some of the things that you gentlemen were talking about here. I'm going to do some research on this. I'm going to do some more reading on it because I think it's important. Knowledge is power. But if you don't understand the knowledge, you can't extend the power. So I'm going to do some reading so I can understand what's going on here. I do see some correlation to this in terms of the indigenous portion of it in Canada, and I'm going to see how it links in with the First Nation portion of it comes in. How does it bind to the same narrative, and where I can take it to the next level, where I can actually open up some of this discussion with my folks here on this side of the fence. Because I think that's what it comes down to. It's knowledge, it's power, but how do you disseminate that across the board? First, you have to understand it before you can speak it. That's just my way of looking at it.
Absolutely, and like I said, just as quick reminders, look at governmentreparations.org, look at indigenouspoliticalauthority.org, look at aboriginalmedicalassociation.com, and look at HAWAB.org. And just if you have any questions and if you want to get in touch with just folks who are in the Canada region with ARNA, definitely reach out to us via HAWAB.org. There should be a contact information. We can get you connected to the folks over there as well. So.
Yeah, actually, I just tapped into both you and I think it's Mercedes. So I'm following both of you guys now. So hopefully I can get a little bit more information from that perspective as well.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. And just to clarify, that is my lady's name and account.
You know what, man? I figured it has to be female, but I wasn't gonna go there.
I appreciate it.
Because I heard Minister Kojo keep calling you something else. I'm like, I know that's not it. But
I already knew you. I just wanted to clarify for the audience.
It's all good. At first, I thought it was a Mercedes car, but then I thought, nah.
Just trying to let me make it in your mind, though. I appreciate you.
No worries, man. No worries. No worries, man. So I appreciate you guys allowing me the platform to speak and at least voice my thought process around what I'm witnessing, feeling, and experiencing. I'm glad you took the time to actually outline a few of the steps that you guys are taking, where it's going, and how it can continuously be beneficial to all of us. So I'm just gonna do my part. So if I run across questions or concerns, don't be surprised to see me reaching out to you guys.
Absolutely.
Oh man, that'd be great, bro. That'd be great. Oh, and also before you leave, Kashana want to build too. Just real quick, we got a documentary, a tribal documentary from Nationals, actually a part of a tribe. We're working on now. We want to be releasing here near the end of the summer with our best intentions. So keep in mind with that, follow HAWAB region6.com. I hope I got that right.
HAWAB.org.
HAWAB.org. Yep. That this created the website right there. Correct me.
How do you spell that? How do you spell that?
Yeah, it's HAWAD.org. HAWAD.org.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So,
and plus, I follow Kashana anyway, so I'm pretty sure if anything, she'd also drop me a few information as well.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely, Derek.
All right. Thanks a lot, gentlemen. Keep up the good work. I think at the end of the day, my philosophy is it starts with a gold nugget and it turns into a huge platform. So do your thing. I'm just a voice listening to bigger voices. That's all.
And you're a big voice yourself, brother. I love your style. You know what I mean? Yes. Let's definitely follow each other, fam. I like
appreciate it. I appreciate it, man. Thanks. Have a great night and be safe, all right?
You too, brother.
You too, guys.
Yeah, man. Respect.
Peace. Absolutely. Yeah, fam. So, just to reiterate, if we have any, donations are accepted for this documentary. You know what I mean? For Black indigenous people working in a tribal government right now, we give people an inside look of what that looks like, and and how we move. You know, there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of interesting parts. Some stuff we might not be able to show, but some stuff, you know, we may be able to. We might be able to give glimpses of the indigenous magic that pops off inside. So,
that's exciting.
Man, I appreciate that. We're excited about it. We're excited about it. So, yeah, you know. So, if you want to keep up with that, HAWAB.org, you know what I mean? And we're getting it popping, man. We're trying to change the game, you know. Brother Nev already know, too. You know. So, yeah, fam. You know, if there's any questions, shit, I mean, I won't trip off, you know, if there's not any questions, shit, you know.
Yeah, if I don't know, Josh or Ashley, if you have any questions. It's definitely been some gems dropped. Like every time I think I'm in the room with y'all, like my mind is constantly getting new nuggets. So that's really powerful.
I appreciate that, sis. I appreciate that. And then the question, we can do some cosmology readings. You know?
Yeah, let's do some cosmology readings. I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Like that.
You can put your you know, we can change the title of the room. We can put cosmology readings, and then we can, if you want to put your cat. Look, I'm always talking about money, so if you want to put your cash up in there, be like, look, I'm gonna give a reading for $5, $10.
Right. know what your month is looking like for $5.
Right.
You know what I mean? With your you know, whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm down there. I would love to hear about me. I love it. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Get into it. Bill Kojo, you want to drop the HAWAB Cash App? Maybe I don't know if there's something you post on the title or something. But.
Yeah, what is the HAWAB Cash App? Is it $?
It's $ HAWAB Region 6.
Okay.
The number 6.
Okay. Yeah, I can retitle the name, or we can stay here. It doesn't matter. Like, I know I pretty much try different titles. You know, certain, of course, clickbait titles will bring a group of people. You know, oftentimes when you keep it soft and sweet, you get less people. But that's just the science of the app. But yeah, I would love to have a cosmology reading. So yeah, let's start with me.
Okay, cool. You know, and I'm thinking like the title of the room in such a way to say, you know, indigenous, Black indigenous astrology.
Okay,
you know, Black indigenous astrology. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Or people don't even probably more of a target is Black Indian astrology. You know what I mean? Black Indian astrology. And you know, I think we'll catch some interest from that. You know what I mean?
Would you rather do Indian or indigenous?
I mean, we don't really go rock with the term Indian so much, but I know that people would be more familiar with that term than indigenous. You know what I mean? Like it's more familiar to people. You know, and we can niggas